Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first online craft show. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jackie Ralston, and I've had the privilege of working with American artisans and craftspeople and gourmet food producers for more than 30 years. I founded Artisan Promotions with the idea of bringing craftsmen and artisans together to produce shows in a setting that would be outside of a mall or a store. I wanted a new marketplace, to create a new marketplace for everybody. And as we know today, crafts festivals are a huge part of our culture. They're very established. People love to come to them. And they're also a really fun day's outing. As fans of the Boston Christmas Festival and now the New England Christmas Festival, you most likely have attended and know how fun and how popular they are. We now find ourselves in a very challenging time with so many shows canceled. And those cancellations are a significant part of the artist community income. So we at Artisan Promotions put our heads together and tried to figure out how we could continue that relationship between craftspeople and fans, and came up with this idea of doing an online craft show. So in the next half an hour, we're going to introduce you to 4 artisans and sort of give you the face and the maker behind the product. It's going to be an up close and personal look at these artists. And we're going to introduce you to a soap maker who will show you how to take care of yourself, and a potter who is going to help you to remember others while shopping for them and staying at home. We have a maple syrup producer who's going to show you new ways to use maple syrup in your cooking and in your cocktails. And we have a jeweler who's definitely going to show you how to treat yourself. They all have websites and they all ship. So we hope that you're going to enjoy meeting them. And we're now going to start with Jennifer Hoffman, who makes soaps. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
You're coming and sharing your wonderful soaps with us. So, I find it incredibly ironic that we're talking to a soap maker at a particular moment in our time. But
yeah, I've got people covered right now. That's for sure.
And you don't do anything normal with soaps. You do amazing colors and designs and shapes and whimsical and custom and favors. So
yeah.
Why don't you tell us about your soaps?
So my tagline is, because soap should be more than just functional. I like color. I love color. Like's too mild a word.
Clearly, one can see that.
And pretty much color kind of defines everything I do. I want it to make you smile. If it doesn't make you smile, then I feel like I'm not doing my job. But it's also a challenge. Like, what can I come up with? What can I create? So I'll tackle one thing and I'm like, wow, that came out really cool. And then I'm like, okay, what's something else I can learn and try and experiment with? And I said the underlying theme is always, will it make you smile, and does it have color in it? So all of my soaps are kind of made around that theme. And then there is the bath products, which I try and pull color in those any way that I can. Sometimes it's just in the label. Sometimes it is in the product themselves, like the bath bombs. I can make those fun, bright colors. But no matter what you do, if you go to my webpage, you will see that it is just full of, bright colors and make you smile. One of my newest designs that I have a little too much fun with. And I'm not sure if you can see that, are my unicorn
I love
soaps.
it. Love
it. they're a lot of work, but they make me smile and they make other people smile. My nieces love them. So, you know, I was like, how could I make a unicorn? And so experimenting, that is a bar of soap, it's a stamp, it's piping, all combined together. So you said multiple techniques to create something pretty cool. I have mermaids, which are really popular.
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at the color in that. I mean, I don't even know how you mix those colors, and it's not coming out as a solid color. It's coming out as, you know, like,
yeah, it's a blending of colors. So it involves
right,
different techniques. Like this is it's called the clamshell technique, but it creates kind of that clamshell look, which is really cool and fun. I'm slightly obsessed with that technique at the moment. So all of my spring line, well, not all, but a good portion of my spring line is using that technique, just in different colors. I make products like hand balms.
You do seasonal things. You do.
Oh yes, yeah.
Season.
Yeah, I do. I try and, you know, like the spring line is going to have a lot of florals because it's that time of year where we're starting to get outside, we're tending our gardens, planting, you know, and so they're really popular. Just like in the fall, I always have a pumpkin. If I didn't have a pumpkin, people would revolt because, you know, October is pumpkin season. So yeah, seasonal is, I have my standards, and then I have the seasonal line. So the standards are year round. You can always find those. And the seasonals, you will get just, you know, during certain times of the year. So it's get it while I've made it. Otherwise, there might be none left.
So we've just been lucky enough to get our technical team here to put up a picture from your website. Oh my gosh, it is just beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah, one of my hobbies is photographing. So I have fun using my soaps to try and create, you know, fun, unique, different styles, and just to best show my soap. So, but yeah, it's, as you can see, as you scroll through it, lots of color in there.
Lots of color. Yeah. You even have some very whimsical, I was looking at your website and taken with the animals.
Oh yeah, those
sort of jungle animals.
Yeah, they're my safari. I made them as favors for my sister's baby shower, and so that was fun. A lot of creativity went into that, but everyone adored them. My sister still hasn't used hers 3 years later.
Wow.
She's like, it's too cute to use. I'm like, there's more where that came from.
So we are almost out of time, but I'd love to know if there's anything in particular you'd like to say to our audience.
I said, I'm a small one-person business. I started this up. It was a hobby, and people were like, you should turn this into a business. So I said, okay, reluctantly. And 9 years later, here I am, still going strong. And I said, I love what I do. I get up every morning excited to go to work, and I figure that's pretty darn good.
Great. I love on your website that you say you're a student of soap for life.
I am.
have no idea what that means, but I think we have to have a further conversation. It was great.
Thank you.
So now we're going to meet our second artisan. This is Lesley Rice. Hi, Lesley. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Thank you for joining us here. It's great to have you. I love the colors in your background and your unfired pieces behind you.
It's actually called greenware.
Greenware. Okay. So Lesley is a potter, in case you haven't figured that out. And one of the things that I love thinking about her is that she was a journalism major in college and suddenly becomes a potter, makes her living being a potter. So there's probably some really interesting story there that brings the two of them together.
Well, yeah, kind of. It's a long story. I'll try and do the short version of it. But started as a math major, switched to journalism, graduated, had a little journalism job as a clerk typist in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and did my first craft show there. Took a pottery class with a woman in her barn, and did my first show, which was one of the very early Ann Arbor art fairs. It was called the Free Art Fair, and sold $100 and said, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. And that's what I'm doing.
Wow, and there you are, yeah. So what makes your pottery so distinctive, and hopefully we're gonna see your website here in a minute, but is the fact that you have very functional pieces and they all have sayings on them. I think that's sort of your niche, if you will.
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah.
I did do other pots before that had beautiful jewel tone colors, and the word pots took over.
Yeah, well, I think, and all of your pottery is porcelain too, right?
Yes, it is all porcelain. Started with stoneware and switched to porcelain, I think when my daughter was born. She's 32. The company I was getting my clay from stopped making my clay. I floundered around for a while, trying different clays that my glazes would work on. I finally found this porcelain that all my glazes at the time, the colors worked, and now the words have taken over, and I'm still using porcelain, and it's just a wonderful clay to use. I love it.
So I just want to point out that the advantage of porcelain is that it's fired at a very high intensity, right? So
well, there's high fire porcelain and there's a mid-range porcelain. I actually use a mid-range porcelain, less expensive to fire. It's just as durable as the high fire. It's just matures at a different temperature. So it is very durable, but it's not super high fire like some pottery is.
Okay. But by the intensity that you are using, the temperatures that you are using, make it oven proof, dishwasher proof, right?
Yeah, although stoneware is also. Earthenware not, terracotta not, but stoneware also fills those useful requirements. I wish I could say my pots were the only ones that were like that, but most of the pottery that's out there that's functional will do the same thing.
So do you have, some very popular sayings that you find people really want to have on all different shapes?
Well, I sell a lot of pots with sayings about daughters. That is one of the biggest categories.
Yeah.
And I used to have one saying, and now I probably have 25 sayings, because every daughter is different and every mother needs a different daughter saying.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
the
awesome.
friend sayings are also really popular, and
sure.
wedding sayings are very popular too.
So as we're coming to the end of the segment here, do you have a special saying for this particular time? People want to
well, I went into some of my older sayings because I couldn't think of anything right off the top of my head, but here's a couple. And this one's a very spiritual one. New beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. So there will be a lot of new things that will come out of what we're going through. And hopefully maybe there'll be some better things on the other side. And another one is stop focusing on how stressed you are, but remember how blessed you are.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your beautiful pottery.
You're welcome.
We'll look forward to having people peruse your website. So now we're going to meet a maple syrup producer, Dave Eckert from Maple Craft Foods. Hello, Dave. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Very well. Thank you. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thanks for having us.
My question to you to start out with is maple syrup is synonymous with New England. It is sort of a treat. It's something that people sort of are amazed at how you get it, make it, and it's wonderful. So that being said, there are many maple syrup producers in New England, but you have won an award. So tell us about your process, what makes it special, why you've won an award, all those kinds of things.
You bet. So my family has been maple sugaring, making syrup in our backyard here in Connecticut and at a home that we have as a family up in Vermont for 20 some odd years. And when I started this company, I decided I wanted to find a way to support all the farmers who work so hard to harvest sap and turn it into maple syrup, and not compete with them, but find new ways to use the product that they harvest and help them boost their business. So while we still do harvest our own sap and make our own maple syrup, most of what we turn into maple craft syrup is syrup that comes from a small number of farms in Vermont that we partner with, and we purchase their syrup in bulk. We actually bring it to our food processing center where we bottle it, which is in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and then we warehouse and ship out of Connecticut, where we're based. We're headquartered in Sandy Hook. Oh, you wanted to know about the award-winning part? Sorry.
I mean, well, as I read the material on your website, you said that it was barrel aged, bourbon barrel aged.
So yeah, I started this company sort of by mistake. After the tragedy here in Sandy Hook, one of the things I tried to do in our neighborhood was to help moms reduce stress and friction. Every day I would witness them fighting with the kids when the ice cream man came down the street because there was only unhealthy, artificially sweetened stuff on that truck. And I created a frozen dessert that was sweetened with maple syrup and contained fruit. Those were the only two ingredients. And lo and behold, they started asking me to make more. We turned it into a business. And then October came and people stopped eating frozen desserts in New England. So I said, what am I going to do next? I got my hands on an empty bourbon barrel from a friend at a distillery in Vermont and filled it with maple syrup, put it away for a few months. And then that winter, started handing it out to friends. And I knew immediately that we had a winner. This was before anybody else was aging anything in empty bourbon barrels. I couldn't make the stuff or age it fast enough. We submitted it into the Connecticut Food Association, had a competition. And in the sweetener category, our maple syrup was voted #1 in the state of Connecticut.
Congratulations, that's awesome. And funny how in life we can fall into things and suddenly they work.
Absolutely. I mean, the bottom line is our main goal and the thing that keeps us going, even in tough times like this, is that when people taste our product, they smile. 90 some odd % of the time, it puts a smile on their face, young or old.
We've seen on the screen a couple of times your elderberry maple syrup.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of my favorite flavors in the world. And if you fans out there have never tried elderberry, you got to try this.
Yeah, and the challenge with elderberry is it's very tart and has an off taste that it really must be sweetened. There are a lot of elderberry syrups out there that are known to be a holistic elixir that people take to boost their immune systems. We do that in my family, but my kids won't drink it because they don't like the way it tastes. So doing what I do best, I added some to maple syrup, and next thing you know, my kids were asking to put it on their pancakes. So I figured out a way for families, people of all ages, to eat healthier, maybe boost the immune defenses a little bit. And I created this elderberry syrup. It's brand new, but it's out. We're taking orders. It's delicious. And, I mentioned putting it on pancakes because that's what kids think of, but we put it over ice cream. We sweeten our coffee or tea with it. And here, I don't know if you can see the purplish drink I'm drinking. This is a glass of water that I put a tablespoon of elderberry maple syrup in. And it tastes unbelievably delicious. And I'm probably boosting my immune system by drinking it.
Good, perfect. That's exactly what we need to do right now, boost the immune system. So Dave, thank you for joining us and sharing your fantastic maple syrups with us. And I think we're gonna have to order some. So now I want to bring in Debbie Noiseau, who is a jeweler and someone that I have known for an awfully long time. And hi, Debbie, how are you?
Jackie, how are you?
Very well. So I was just saying to our viewers that you and I have known each other for more than 30 years.
Pretty cool.
one of our first exhibitors who joined us when I first started the company. And I always think of you as a standout jeweler. And here's why. Because you are one of the few jewelers who chooses the most beautiful, the most amazing stones at the same time, very different from everybody else. And at the same time, you have a head for creative design in sort of a contemporary fashion that the two of them work together, and they're awesome. So now our viewers are getting to see them and tell us why you've been doing this since you were 15.
It's, you know, I went in and took this class, you know, this is before Michael's, and thought it was my calling. I guess kind of silly, but you know, every so often in life we do something and we just know it's the right thing to do, and that's where I'm at. So as you can see, all my work, this is my bench. I'm always loaded with stones, and sometimes I work on a few too many things. You know, I start with, I hope this is seeing it right.
So Debbie, let me just switch for a minute because I don't want to run out of time.
Yeah.
About your stones, because they're very unusual stones. Most people don't see them. They don't even know what they are.
Right. Okay, so here, I mean, this is a whole collection of what I'm working on or going to be working on. As you can see, a lot of them already have the bezel made, which is what I do, start with. And then I start playing, actually, even before that, I'll do a setup, like this is gonna be a ring. So I picked these two stones to do together, and then I'll make the bezel and make the wire. As you can see, I have all kinds of things started here. Here's some of the ones I'm working on right now. This is one that's almost finished and just needs polishing.
So Debbie, let me bring you back to your stones.
Okay.
What are these amazing stones?
Okay, so these stones, I am constantly looking for something different. Like this one is called a grape chalcedony. I think you can see how it's lumpy because it looks like grapes. So
can you point to some of the stones on the screen, because it's a little hard for us to see?
Oh, okay. I don't have it on the screen. Okay, hold on. You're up full time. So okay. I only see oh, here we go. Okay. So here we go. Here's one in particular. This is called a chrysoprase, and it comes from Australia. Only place you can get this color, the lemon, whereas quite often it's a different color. Then we have something like this, which most people love. It's a black druzy, but really they've polished some of the stone, and then some is the inside of a geode. As you can see, it's all crystally. Whoops.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of cool.
And where does that come from?
Well, it's an agate, and quite often they're dyed, so they come from just about everywhere. Agate you can find all over the place. It's amazing. So,
so unfortunately, we seem to be almost out of time. So
yep. So anyway, and then here I solder things and polish, and that's.
So all of these great designs just come out of your head. I mean,
well, I do start with drawings quite often. I mean, here's one of them. I don't know if you can see this. You've kind of disappeared, so I don't know what's showing, but I just start playing with stones and do drawings, and quite often it changes. I quite often will start, I mean, here's an old piece of mine that I'm working on fixing for me, and it's mine, whereas here I'm working on a brand new one like
Debbie,
that, but in gold.
We're going to have to say goodbye to you, unfortunately, but I'm so thrilled that you joined us here today. And
thank you, and I look forward to the show at Mohegan Sun. I hope everyone will join us.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be a great show. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I hope that you all have really enjoyed listening to these four very talented and diverse artists They hopefully inspired you to find something you might want in your home or in your kitchen. And I thought just before we go, I wanted to share a couple of thoughts that I have on the crafts world. So first of all, I wonder if you all realize how huge it is. There are millions of crafts people who run the gamut from hobbyists to professionals, and they are creating a multi-billion-dollar industry. You can see this all around you by looking at all the stores, Joann's, Michael's, AC Moore, Hobby Lobby. If you decided you wanted to learn a craft, you have all kinds of places you could go, from your local adult education center to classes online to craftsmen actually giving classes. And then we get to one of the most important and prestigious places right around the corner from all of us, which is RISD at the Rhode Island School of Design. That is just a fantastic place to go. So what this primarily means is that people are moving away from mass production. They're looking how to express themselves individually. And kudos to the craftsmen today who have taken their skills and materials and adapted them to today's world so that we can look at contemporary designs while also hanging on to some of my favorite old-fashioned style crafts like basket weaving and wood turning. But then they also have created amazing things out of recycled material, a whole new world of crafts out of recycled material. So that's really fun too. And so this is the business of creativity. And I just wanted to make the point that the makers and buyers, which is us, have created an arts community that's important to the soul of our country. And it's important that we stay supportive, connected, vibrant, and relevant. So I'll leave you with that thought about the crafts world, but I want to also let you know about next week's Artisans. So we are going to have a lady who designs clothing for babies and toddlers. We're also going to have a husband and wife couple who work in glass, both stained and blown. And then as a nod to Easter, we're going to have an egg carver and a fantastic chocolatier who makes all kinds of Easter novelties for, obviously for Easter. That you, and I don't think I've said that all of these artisans ship and have websites so you can find everything that you need online. I also want to ask you please to share and like this video, and we need a big growing community out there. So you share your friends and their family and their friends and family and so on, and we'll make a big support group for our artisans. So please join us next Friday at 2 o'clock for our next show. And in the meantime, stay healthy and stay positive.